the game. You don't play to just play. Come after me. I'm a man. I'm for you. Can't wait. Let's go.
Good morning and welcome. It is Coffee and Sports. It is the morning show here on Sports Empire Network. Thank you so much for making us part of your morning routine. I am Chris, and of course, that is Mo. Mo, how are you this morning, sir?
Doing well. We're rounding out the Christmas, Chris, and guess what? Only Christmas can make a Monday right? Only Christmas can pull that off. And we had a football game last night, and I think it pretty much went how we both thought it would go.
All I gotta say this morning, Mo, is how about them Rams, baby?
Oh my.
8 wins. Someone said they were gonna win 8 or 9 games and be in the wild card race. It wasn't me. It was me. Mo, let me tell you this. I don't want to be the Eagles or the Cowboys or the Lions and have to play the Rams in the first round of the playoffs. I don't want to draw that. People are talking about in the AFC, well, what if Buffalo slips in as a 7 or a 6 seed and they're your first round matchup? As much as an AFC team doesn't want to be a full power Buffalo in the first round of the playoffs as a lower seed, I don't think the NFC teams want to turn around and see a full power Rams team in the early round of the playoffs. Because let me tell you, Rams last night looked like a well-oiled machine on offense. Now, their defense has some stuff to figure out. Their special teams specifically have some stuff they need to figure out because, man, they can't do anything right in the kicking game. They missed field goals last night. Their punting coverage was off last night. They had a kick block. I guess technically it was touched, not blocked, because it went forward, not backwards. But regardless, they had a kick blocked last night.
It was bad. It was. They won the game, but it was so bad you could get fired for that one game. That's how
correct.
Bad it was.
Special teams was a disaster last night for the Rams. But Mo, at the end of the day, they are firmly now. They're not just hanging out in the wild card picture. They have 2 games left on their schedule. Oh, by the way, one is against the New York Football Giants. Just saying. They got 2 games left in their schedule, and they are firmly entrenched in the wild card picture in the NFC. So nothing but good things to say about the Rams this morning. Mo, where the hell did Robinson come from last night?
And you know what? It's weird because you think like he's a brand new player. He's a veteran wide receiver, Chris. He's been around for a while. Spent a lot of time, I believe, with the Ravens. Like he's been in the league for a while. They actually brought him there to be the 4th or 5th guy. Their third wide receiver, he got hurt. Robinson got an opportunity. I think that's the beauty of sports, right? They bring you in, and you're like, I'm really here to be the 4th or 5th guy, and suddenly you get this opportunity to be a prominent part of the offense, and he revived his career. Like, there were points in the game you were like, well, Puka's great, but Robinson looks as good as anybody else out there right now. Like, he played that well. Like, every big catch, if it wasn't Puka, it was Robinson. So really impressed with how the young man revived his career. I'm always impressed when Matthew Stafford can plant his feet because good things happen.
He made a throw last night, Mo, where he didn't plant his feet. He was literally leaning backwards, and he just rainbowed it over the offensive line. By the way, accurately. By the way, right into the hands of his diving receiver. That was spectacular. Silly me. I was looking at the injury report last night, and I was like, oh, Tutu Atwell. He's clear concussion protocol. He's going to be a viable option. No, not with Robinson out there doing his thing.
But yeah, they're like, Tutu, get healthy. Robinson was balling, and I think that even when Tutu gets healthy, Robinson's earned himself some playing time.
On the other side of the ball, we have the New Orleans Saints. They had a good drive to open the game. Then the floodgates kind of opened up a little bit. By the time they scored their next touchdown, we pretty much thought it was over. They made it interesting in the end with the block kick.
They did.
But what can you say? I mean, there's a lot of talent on the offensive side of that ball. Chris Olave is a terrific wide receiver. I really like Shaheed.
I like Shaheed a lot.
I think he is one of the fastest receivers in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't know why they use Kamara like he's Saquon Barkley. He is not an A and B gap runner. And numerous times last night, single back, they just turned and handed it to him and thought that he was going to do what with that defensive line, because he ran right into it every single time, and he got a yard or a yard and a half every single time, Mo. At what point do you realize what you have with Alvin Kamara? Because what you do not have consistently is a between the gap runner. Can he run between the gaps? Yes. Does he have the size to do it? Absolutely. But he is a speed back. He is a make a move and he's gone kind of back.
He's great in space.
Ball out of the backfield kind of back. And I feel like last night they were trying to make him something that he wasn't. And as a result, there was no running game for them last night.
They were trying that against a Rams front line that wasn't having it. The Rams controlled the line of scrimmage. Aaron Donald and company controlled the line of scrimmage. So I don't know why you kept force feeding Kamara. It's funny because we had a conversation with JG. JG pointed out something that I wholeheartedly agreed with. You got to spread Kamara out. Kamara is one of those running backs who can do things a lot like Marshall Faulk. He can not just catch swing passes or slants. He actually can run routes that are similar to receivers downfield, and you can take advantage of that skill, and they didn't do that at all.
No, that's correct. So, unfortunately for the New Orleans Saints, now remember, we said yesterday that although this game was big for both teams, if we had to pick someone it was bigger for, we lean towards the Rams because the Rams are no longer in contention for their division. So the Saints came into this week tied for their division, and they're in the thick of the wild card race. So we said if the Saints were to lose this game, they're still going to potentially be tied for their division, depending on how the rest of the weekend shakes out. And worst case scenario, they're a game out in the wild card and they're a game out in their division, and they still have multiple paths to move forward with 2 games left. Now, I'll tell you right now, Mo, I don't think this Saints team is making the playoffs, because if you look 3 weeks ago, they're 5-7. We're making fun of Carr because he's yelling at himself and he's talking to himself and all these other things. They go out there and they win 2 in a row against the Giants and the Panthers. Now they're 7-7, and we're wondering, okay, did they figure something out? Last night was a chance for them to kind of say, where do we stand? Where do we stand amongst another wild card contending team? And it wasn't close.
I wasn't surprised in the results. I really wasn't. Like I said, I feel, I mean, I'm one of the few maybe that I think that Derek Carr is just good enough to disappoint you. I think he's just good enough to disappoint you. I'm just never been a Carr guy. This isn't me saying he's a bad quarterback, but I think there's levels to quarterback, and there's been times when people have mentioned him like he was one of the best quarterbacks, and I'm always like, no, he's not one of those guys. He's above average, I'll give you that, but elite, special, unique, no, I don't think he's that at all. I don't see it. And I know that he was loved in the Raiders locker room, right? He was beloved. He might be a great guy. That doesn't, because you're a great guy, by default elevates you to being a great quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's okay. He's okay, but he's replaceable. And I know it's not easy replacing a legend. The next guy coming behind Breeze, that's tough. And I get it. Smart play bringing in a veteran quarterback versus a rookie, but I don't think he's their guy either going forward. And I know they committed to him. I just think, like I said, he's just good enough to have you shaking your head when it's all said and done. I knew coming in, I thought the Rams had a better receiving core. I thought they had a better running game, and I thought they had the better quarterback.
Mo Key brings up a great point in the chat. She said that she knows that the Kansas City Chiefs are missing Robinson. Imagine if Kansas City had him on their roster right now. Imagine what that receiving core might look like with someone who can, dare I say it, catch the ball on a consistent basis.
Great point, Key. Great point.
Because Kansas City currently does not have that outside of Travis Kelce. But Mo, before Key's actually coming on the show today, we're going to talk a little WWE here in a couple of minutes. But before we do that, let's talk about the 1.15 billion with a B.
I know where you're going.
$1.15 billion investment that the Los Angeles Dodgers have made with 3 players. In case you missed the news late last night, no, he wasn't at the Rams game with Shohei Ohtani like he was rumored he was going to be, but that's because he was too busy working out his 12-year, $325 million contract with the Dodgers. Yamamoto is going to be a Dodger. Apparently, it came down to the Yankees, the Mets, and the Dodgers. He chose to go with the Dodgers. That means the Dodgers have sunk $1.15 billion between Shohei Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Tyler Glasnow, who they traded for and extended. Mo, we'll obviously get more into this on Monday when we have JG on the show, but I'll say this. They did their part in the offseason, did the Dodgers. There better be a World Series appearance next season, because if there isn't, the talk will already start. There isn't going to be a grace period for the Dodgers. There isn't going to be Shohei didn't pitch this season. We're actually gearing up for 2025. No. When you put $1.15 billion on 3 players, there better be a World Series appearance next season. And then if you don't win it, that's okay, because then you can say things like, well, Shohei's going to pitch in 2025. We'll definitely win it next year.
Right.
We got there this year. But if we had Shohei in the rotation, it would have been different. Mo, there can't be losing in the division round or anything like that next season, because it's World Series. It was almost World Series or bust before for the Dodgers.
Right.
It is rings now. It is rings or bust now for the Dodgers.
And I'm with you. I'm looking at Dave Roberts, and I'm like, they kill him a lot anyway. But with what they're bringing in, there's pressure on everybody, but it starts with him. And like you said, if you don't at least make the World Series, never mind win it, which would be great, but if the Dodgers don't make it, they're going to get destroyed. They're going to get hammered, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. You don't spend that kind of money, and it's the kind of money we can talk about. Shohei's the deferred amount of money, but you still got to pay that money. It's going to be paid down the road, and maybe it's going to get paid during a free agency where you want somebody, but you're like, we actually don't have the money because we're still paying Shohei. Like it'll be that kind of thing, or the money that you just put into Yamamoto. I mean, it's crazy. The amount of money that went into 3 players, and hearing you say that total, that just blows me away, because I'm thinking, like, it almost sounds like you just bought a franchise. It's that kind of money. And the pressure that's going to be on them going into spring training, regular season. And I know the regular season is a grind, and they might be great in the regular season, and it won't matter if they don't win the World Series.
Well, they could set the single game season for most wins in a season. They could be spectacular across the board. It's like you said, if it doesn't end in a World Series appearance, it isn't going to matter, because that's what you spent the money on. You are trying to buy championships at this point. And let me say this as a Yankee fan, I am not critiquing the Dodgers for doing that. That would be quite hypocritical of me, Mo.
Right.
But I will say this, because last night, Dodger fans were feeling a little insecure about themselves because they tried to pull the Yankees up into their grouping to defend what they're doing. And I'll say this, the Yankees haven't paid anybody anything yet. Soto is on a 1-year deal. They traded for Soto, but they are not doing what the Dodgers are doing. They are not spending $1 billion on 3 players right now. Now, will they probably break the bank for Soto? Yeah, they probably will. And then we can talk about what the Yankees are doing.
Sure.
But don't sit here and as a Dodger fan and be like, well, the Yankees can spend. No. Nobody else is spending $1 billion on 3 players right now. That is you. So
the Dodgers are 101.
Embrace it. Own it. Puff your chest up. This is the time to puff your chest up, Dodger fans. This is not the time to be like, well, the Yankees can do this. And no. You're by yourself. Stand there, brag about it, feel proud, and then we'll talk. We'll talk in October.
Right.
And hopefully you got to where you needed to get to. Because then, come October, if you need to go hide, you can go hide. But don't hide now. Be proud about it right now, right?
Just embrace it. You know how they say that they're not doing enough?
Right.
The one thing you can say is your front office has done more than enough. They've literally gone all in. I mean, to the next level, all in. So if you don't win the World Championship or the World Series, yes, you can complain, you can cry. Don't try to drag the Yankees into it. It's not on them. You're the one that's spending $1 billion on 3 players. Here's the crazy thing, Chris. Last night, I had a couple of family members call me, and normally at a certain time at night, I'm like, yeah, I'm not answering that. They're probably, if they're listening, you know that's me. That's just what I do. But come to find out, it was because they wanted to rant about signing him. Now they are diehard baseball fans. I'm more of a casual, and I fully admit it. But they're the kind that they can listen to a Dodgers game on the radio and get excited over that. I could never even fathom listening to a game on the radio. But that's what they wanted to call about. And they are the opposite of some of the other Dodgers fans. They're pumping out their chest. They're like, oh, it's done. It's done. He said, watch, and Kershaw's gonna be revamped. You watch. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard that before about him. I'm like, can his body hold up? I mean, this is a different version of Kershaw. We could get all into the nuances. It looks great on paper. And then you have to go out and actually play games. And what JG said to us, what you already knew, I'm the casual fan, we haven't never seen Yamamoto play against American players in the big leagues. It is a different level of competition. We'll find out.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. But right now in the offseason, if they want to pump their chest out, go ahead. I wouldn't, but each his own.
Now, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have Key on the show. Key is going to be in the house to break down some pro wrestling topics. That's right after the break. It's going to be a short break. Don't go anywhere. Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show on Sports Empire Network.
Hey, y'all. I'm Key.
And I'm Jory. And tune in to Hoop Dreams and Touchdown Queens every Saturday at 5 p.m. over on Sports Empire Network.
And don't forget, also watch us on Roku TV at Northeast Streaming Productions. So tune in.
Welcome back. We have Key joining us this morning. Key, how are you?
Morning, Key.
No complaints. Trying to get this work day over with and holiday time.
That's right. Holiday time. Key, before we get into the wrestling stuff, we asked Gene about it on Wednesday. We just want to do a little check-in because we love you. How are you? We know things in Philly are a little turbulent these past couple of weeks.
Well, you just don't know. Like I tell everybody, I shouldn't be this stressed out winning 10 games. I shouldn't be this stressed out with 10 games. You know, we're on a 10 game. That's good. You win 10 games in NFL, that's an accomplishment. Right. I shouldn't be this stressed out.
Key, there's a saying, actions speak louder than words, but it's a saying that I don't think Tony Khan quite understands because all the man does is talk. He was on social media earlier this week talking about how current AEW ticket sales are the same or a little bit better than WCW ticket sales were. And Key, I had to read the quote 3 times because I had to understand why somebody who is supposed to be a savvy businessman is comparing ticket sales in 2023 to ticket sales from 1998 and telling me that they're on par with ticket sales from WCW, a promotion that ended nearly 25 years ago. But that's what you want to compare your ticket sales to? Key, what is it about Tony Khan where he just won't shut up? He looks for fights on Twitter. He looks for fights on social media. He tells off reporters and media people and podcasters and calls them out and says they're garbage and nobody knows them and they don't know what they're talking about. You know what you don't see, Key? You don't see Triple H out here talking about how great his numbers are. You don't see, I forget his name, but he's the head of WWE now, right above Triple H or right with Triple H. You don't see the vice president out there talking about how great ticket sales are and how they compare to WCW or AEW or anything. It's business in WWE. It's business, and they're pushing forward, and they're talking about growth, and they're talking about what they're doing in other countries, and they're promoting upcoming shows. And yeah, AEW went over to England, and they had a great show at Wembley, right? They sold a bunch of tickets. It was a success. That's great, Tony. But why are we still talking about it? Go out there and tell me what your TV ratings are, right? Which, by the way, and I know I'm going on a Tony Khan rant this morning. Tony, you're not competing TV rating-wise with WWE. And if you think you are, you're what? You beat NXT? Is that what you're celebrating? Like, Key, what is he doing? Why is he so obsessed?
So, since AEW's existence, I've been to 2 shows. The very first time when COVID hit, they were supposed to come to Philly for like the anniversary show, and they pushed it back. And that crowd was lit. Like it was amazing. At that time, you know, Philly fans was chanting F Ben Simmons. That was like the highlight of my night. But it was jam packed. I recently just went a couple months ago. I was bored out of my mind. I'm not even gonna hold you. I was bored. But the highlight of my night was seeing Ric Flair because it's Ric Flair. Like I went crazy. I'm like, I'm in my childhood. I didn't see Ric Flair. I didn't see Billy Gunn. I didn't see the Hardys. I see RVD. That was the highlight of my wrestling, you know, just seeing these guys. You know, that was my childhood. But Tony Khan don't need to be talking at all. He don't need to talk. For one, you got to fix your roster. Your roster isn't the way it used to be. You lost your moneymaker. Say what y'all want about CM Punk. CM Punk made money. Ratings went down when CM Punk left. Kenny Omega, he's out because he's injured his health. Y'all not using Britt Baker. Y'all women's division sucks. So why are you talking about WCW? A bigger wrestling fan as I am. I've never seen WCW in person, maybe because I was younger. But I've never seen WCW in person. And WCW right now would beat AEW with Nitro. And Thunder would beat Rampage right now. Thunder would beat Collision right now. So I don't know. And y'all got this division, or Ring of Honor, and y'all supposed to be like y'all secondary. Y'all supposed to make this. I don't even know what to do there. So I mean, maybe he's like his dad in Jacksonville with the Jaguars. Don't know what to do with them either. So I mean, I guess it runs in the family.
And during all this, MJF comes out and he's very transparent, saying that he has not signed a new contract with AEW because it was rumored a couple months ago that people thought he had just quietly signed a deal and that AEW had locked him up for another few years and there wasn't going to be a free agent battle for MJF. Well, as Tony Khan is talking and making all this noise and calling out reporters and all this stuff, and AEW at the same time is being criticized for live show attendance, TV attendance, and all that stuff, it's not a coincidence, in my opinion, that MJF comes out and says, oh, by the way, just so everyone knows, I'm not here long-term yet. I could be here long-term, but I haven't signed anything. So early next year or whenever it is, I could still be out there. So just keep that in mind. I thought that was very interesting. I also thought it was interesting that MJF reached out via social media to congratulate CM Punk and the early success that he is having back in WWE. I think we're seeing AEW stars who haven't been in WWE realize, hey, I kind of like what I see over there. It looks like they're better at this. It looks like they're better at doing this stuff.
And it's a reason why, because Vince is not involved in anything anymore. Vince just has a title and he just sits there. That's it. That's all that you do. Vince, you don't do nothing creative. You don't have no power of anything. You're just there. You're just a placeholder. You're just there. So because Vince is not involved in none of that, Triple H is, the show runs so much fluently. Like, you don't see no nonsense. Some stuff is still predictable, but some stuff you're like, whoa. All right, you got me there. So if this was Vince, things would be predictable. Stuff would be changed last minute. Putting belts on people who don't deserve it. Like it's ran so much better, and I think wrestlers are understanding that now. Like, okay, this is not a Vince McMahon production no more. That's dropped. We getting Triple H here, who has a fresher mind, better ideas, and I guess AEW starting to see that now. But you can't sign everybody. So, I mean, but still, another major AEW star in WWE with more feuds and different things we've never seen. I know he was talking, MJF was talking with Cena because, it's John Cena. That's everybody's favorite wrestler, and that was his idol. Yep. So, I mean, never know.
Mo, big news out of WWE this week. Charlotte Flair signs an extension, so that itself is big news. With that extension, we also find out that TKO is doing. Is it TKO? Key? What's the name of that new company over there?
What, Endeavor?
Oh, Endeavor. Yeah, we find out that Endeavor is doing 5-year deals. Mo. Usually WWE would do 2 to 3 year extensions. Endeavor's like, no, we're gonna lock people in long term here. We're not gonna do these short little deals. So we don't know the terms yet of Charlotte's deal. We know it's probably in that 5-year range, and we know that it is a bank breaker. We already know that it is the most money ever offered to a female superstar in WWE, which Mo has now created this conversation as Sasha Banks is a free agent. It is rumored that she wants a bigger deal than Charlotte's deal. So, Mo, if you are WWE and you're holding the checkbook and Sasha says, yeah, I'll come back for more than her, are you writing that check?
I want her back. If I'm WWE, I want her back. I mean, personally, I want her back, but if I'm WWE, you know what? Sasha's younger. As gifted as Charlotte is, like, eventually there's going to be somebody that has to come up in that next wave. So I do think what they're doing now is they're making moves for the future. So yes, I would absolutely give her the money. I think Charlotte is the kind of person that is, yes, I think Charlotte is a lot like her dad. She's all about the business. So I don't think she'll be offended by it at all. She'll think it's good for business. And so I think it can work, but absolutely give Sasha Banks the bank.
And Key, like JG said these past couple of weeks on the morning show, the Dodgers are going to make their money off of Ohtani because of things like merchandise sales and all the other stuff that comes with it. You break the bank to bring back Sasha, you're going to make it back in merchandise sales. You're going to make it back in TV promotions. I mean, what she has done for herself since she was already a name in WWE. She has grown into a bigger name since leaving WWE. She is starring in movies now. She has taken her brand and she has expanded it outside the world of wrestling and made herself very marketable. So, Key, I do think that they're going to give her the bank, no pun intended, if she does come back to WWE. But it is going to be a bidding war for Sasha when that time comes. So hopefully we do see the boss back here in WWE sooner rather than later, because it would only help with what we currently see in the women's division. Before we get you out of here, Key, what are your thoughts on we don't talk about this a lot. What are your thoughts on the new women's tag team champions?
Okay, so before I comment on that, you definitely gotta spend the money on Sasha Banks. She already turned AEW down, so where's she gonna go? To TNA? Hell no, don't go to TNA. So I believe Triple H probably gonna get that done. And you can't have Sasha Banks without her cousin. She's gonna bring Snoop Dogg back. Come on, now. And Snoop Dogg does her intro. That's her theme song. So I think they're going to bring Sasha back. Becky's up for a deal as well. Becky's going to come back as well. Her and Seth, they're going to resign in January. Their contract's up. So none of the heavy hitters are going nowhere. But absolutely, you bring Sasha Banks back. Can you see her and Rhea Ripley? Take my money right now. Just take it. Here you go, Triple H. Just take it.
Oh, I want to see that.
Just take it. But as far as the new Women's Tag Team Champs, it's about time. If you're going to make it relevant, Kate and Chance and they're good. They were good at NXT. Build the women's division up. If you got to do it this way, do it this way. Don't just makeshift people together. I was tired of Chelsea Green. Let Piper Niven go her separate way because she's better as a singles wrestler than tag team. So I'm happy. I still don't think them titles is relevant. But if you're gonna make them relevant, put them on somebody that's relevant.
Key, we appreciate having you on every week, and we'll see you next week. All right.
Yep.
Have a great holidays, Key.
You too, guys.
Always a pleasure having Key on here in the morning, Mo. Always good to see. Let's jump back into some NFL stuff right now. I want to talk real quick about, and this could be, we'll see where this goes. I'm going to take a strong stance here, and you can tell me if I'm being ridiculous or not. At the end of the season, Mike Tomlin needs to leave Pittsburgh. Whether he's fired or whether he does it on his own volition. And I don't care what happens the next 3 games for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But, Mo, what's happened the last game and a half is that you now have skill players on the Pittsburgh Steelers calling each other out in social media for not blocking for each other. We had a situation this past week where one of the running backs, Warren, I believe it was, is calling out the wide receiver. I forget his name. It's not Deontay. It's the other one.
It's Pickett.
Pickens. Yeah. He's calling out Pickens because Pickens, and it's not, I don't think he blocked for me. It is, he clearly did not block for me on a running play. And there's video to go with it. And it's literally Pickens just basically standing there. Now, as the defender's coming through, he did kind of put his arm out. Like, he didn't put his body there. He kind of put his arm out to kind of, I don't know what he was going to do with that. And maybe you're saying, Chris, wide receivers get blown up all the time in pass protection. Some of them are good at it. Some of them just aren't. If Pickens is one of their skilled guys, he could easily be their 1 or 2 receiver. We need him catching balls. That's great until Pickens spoke about it. And when he spoke about it, he acknowledged, no, I didn't block for him. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to risk hurting myself. He basically said that on those types of plays, when receivers go out and block, they get rolled up on real quick. And that's how injuries happen. And he said, I don't want to, quote, Tank Dell situation.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. He brought up, but that's a fluke thing that happened. It's a terrible injury, but that can happen from time to time. Like one of the players brought up in an interview the other day is when you usually get hurt on the football field is when you're trying to avoid getting hurt, when you're not playing, at 100% doing what you're supposed to be doing. Injuries are going to happen. You play in the most physical bang sport in all the universe. But to sit there and go, I don't want to tank Dale or I'm not going to block, like, dude, you could get hurt running a slant with no one touching you at all. You can plant your foot the wrong way and blow out your calf muscle, your Achilles. Sports is like that. It's unpredictable. But the excuse that you're going to make a business decision in the middle of a football game and not do your part for a teammate, inexcusable.
How is Mike Tomlin allowing this? What has the Pittsburgh Steelers culture broken down to where, like you just said, you have skilled position players making business decisions for themselves in the middle of a goddamn football game, Mo? Like, it's literally they're first and goal from the 7. And somewhere in his mind, he is consciously saying, nope, not going to block here. Don't want to get rolled up on. Don't want a Tank Dell situation. You're trying to score a touchdown. How is that anywhere near the forward of your conscious in that moment? Shouldn't you be thinking, I got to make sure that guy isn't there because I got to keep this lane open because he's probably going to come in running behind me? But no, he's thinking if he comes up, I got to move to the side because I'm not getting hit from behind and having my leg like, Mo, if that's what your skill position players are thinking, if that's the mindset, how is that not a Mike Tomlin issue? How is that not a coaching staff issue?
So I do think Mike Tomlin does inherit some of the blame. But and I could be wrong. I don't think Mike Tomlin is the GM of the Steelers. I don't think he has those dual titles.
I don't think he does either.
He doesn't have the dual titles like Belichick and one or two others. And I'm saying that to say this. The last few years with Roethlisberger, they were trying to load up and they were drafting for talent, but they weren't drafting for character. And they took risk on guys who already had red flags around them, including some of their current talent. They had elite talent, but they were having problems in college. They were having issues with them, character issues back then. And I think Tomlin and the GM, they both gambled with the talent, thinking that they can hone in or develop the character. And it has not panned out at all. So I look at the Steelers situation overall, and knowing that he's only the third coach in the history of the franchise, and he's been there well over a decade. And I don't want to get into that thing that you and we joke about it, even though it's a serious thing where he's lost the locker room.
Can they hear him?
He's lost the locker room. They don't hear his voice anymore. But because of the types of guys they've brought in over the last few years, maybe they don't, or they don't listen, or they don't want to listen. I know in one of the post-game interviews, he said something that was very not Mike Tomlin-like when they said, these guys with their attitudes and it seems like there's a lack of effort at times. And why are they still being able to start? And Mike Tomlin said, because he's so talented, we've got to put him on the field. And I thought, wow, that Mike Tomlin 2 or 3 years ago would have been like, we're going to put the best guys out there who's going to work the hardest, who's going to give us the best effort, not the most talented. We're not going to coddle guys. And that's kind of what's happening now. I'm not one of those people that's calling for Mike Tomlin's job, but I actually understand it. I'm with you 100% in this sense. He might just want to go elsewhere because right now there's a disconnect between him, the coaching staff, and those players. And usually your head coach sets the table, and then your veteran leaders, they enforce your culture. And I don't think he's done a great job of setting the table, and the veterans that they do have, they have not enforced the culture. So if you're saying that he should go elsewhere because they need a new presence in there, I have no problem with that at all. And maybe for his career going forward, he needs a fresh start.
I tell you what, Mo, that sounds like a high school coach or college coach comment right there. He has so much talent. That's why we play him. Those are coaching situations where, he might be a jerk. He might, be the worst teammate ever. He might always come late to practice, but that's what why did we sell 500 tickets to this high school game tonight? Because everyone came to see him. So of course I'm going to play him. I can't bench him. Those are situations where the players run the team, high school, college. And for Mike Tomlin, a defensive minded, mind you, head coach. And they usually have that harder, more earnest personality of team first. We are one mindset. So you're right. It is interesting to hear him say that. Mo, it was also interesting yesterday, and this happened after our show, I believe. Shannon Sharp, who I usually agree with. I am usually a pro Shea guy.
Me too.
He went in on Tua Tagovailoa yesterday. And I
saw it.
I watched it twice because the first time I watched it, I was like, maybe I'm being sensitive because he's my QB1. So maybe I'm a little in my feels. Let me watch the 10-minute video again. And the second time I watched it, I was more upset because I don't know if he was just being the personality in that take and he was just trying to be the TV character, or if those were his honest opinions, because usually Shannon's known for being very transparent. Yes, he can get excited at times, but usually he's not, Skip Bayless saying crazy things just to say crazy things.
Right.
I couldn't find the logic in his attack on Tua yesterday, and he has two other people, and I forget Woody, I forget who he is.
Dan Orlowski.
It was Dan and the other guy.
He loves to. I almost feel like he does it just to disagree with Dan Orlowski. He almost always disagrees with Dan Orlowski.
Because Dan was making legitimate points. And then the third guy in the panel, who I usually don't agree with his takes, he was also being like, well, wait a minute here. And this is literally what Tua was talking about the other day when he was like, write what you want to write about me. I'm the worst quarterback in the world. I can't do anything without Tyreek. Like, yes, he was being facetious, but this is actually what people are writing about him. And to see Shannon Sharpe on national TV say, well, what was he before Tyreek got there? That's what we're talking about, Shannon. That's the narrative that he's looking at and saying, if you feel like you have to say it, go ahead and say it. And then for Dan Orlowski to turn around and be like, well, Shannon, what was Tyreek before he was with Tua? He was with Patrick Mahomes. Like, you can say that the other way. Just like you can say, well, what was Dak Prescott before he got CeeDee Lamb? What was Josh Allen before he got Stephon Diggs? It's the same conversation. And Dan's only point was no one ever reverses it for Tua, right? People will say, man, what a great game Josh Allen had. What a great game Dak had. They turn around with Tua and they say, man, what a great game Tyreek had. And that was Dan's point. We always talk about the receivers first with Miami as if anybody could get back there throwing them the ball, which is why Micah Parsons says the crap that he says. I can throw deep balls to Tyreek if I wanted to. So it was just weird for me, Mo. Shannon, who usually has great takes, to go in on Tua like that.
He was over the top. And like I said, I almost feel like it's just a default because Dan Orlowski was making points that Tua throws darts. And he made the point that I had made. He talked about how great he is against man. Like when you look at all the other quarterbacks, and I'm talking about Mahomes, Allen, the whole nine. Tua's actually number one against man coverage. And matter of fact, I heard our guys talking last night on Wire to Wire, and they were talking about how the Cowboys play zone. They do play zone, but they also play a lot of man. They play a lot of man. And if they go man at some point, and they will, they're going to get eaten alive. They just will. They just accept that. But I don't understand the Tua slander either. And it's weird because the Purdy slander, I don't agree with, but I get it. Small body of work. Tua's put together multiple productive years. We're not saying he's building a Patrick Mahomes resume, but for what we've seen, the only question, and I said it yesterday, if he's healthy, there isn't a question of how good a quarterback he is. He's an excellent quarterback. And I know he's small in stature. He's got a very unique arm. He can go deep. It doesn't look like he can throw the deep ball, but he eats people up on the deep ball. I think that Tua is a victim of, well, he's got Tyreek Hill and he's got Waddle. Basically, what they're saying is the same thing that they say about Purdy is, well, you could take a backup quarterback from somewhere else, and with those receivers, you're going to put up. Really? I don't see it that way.
Plug in Zach Wilson, you'll be fine.
What? Why not? Why not? You know what? Bring what's the one guy that's in retirement? Bring Blaine Gabbert back from retirement. Put him in there with Tyreek and Waddle, and he'll throw for 4,000 plus yards, 35 touchdowns. It isn't that simple. For what he does, because I keep telling people he's not throwing balls or medicine balls. Tyreek Hill and Waddle are catching the ball in full stride. They're not breaking stride. That's because their quarterback is throwing darts. I'm just watching Dolphins game. You're a Dolphins fan. How many times do they have to go up? And even though that's not their strength, how many times do they have to go up and catch 50-50 balls? Not very often. It's because Tua's put Tua's putting it on a dime. So I was kind of shocked that Shannon was really over the top. And he went it. He was so over the top. I was like, it was almost like it almost felt personal.
Right.
like him and Tua had met and he didn't like the kid for some reason. And normally I'm with you. Normally I can listen to Unc and I'm like, he's made another good point. Shannon can be folksy. He can be a little bit over the top, but usually his takes are level-headed. Yesterday was almost a rant.
And it's funny because then, the other two at one point try to digress and they're like, well, wait a minute. You do realize the Jets had the number 4 pass defense in the league going into that game last week. And he wouldn't even listen to that. He was just tearing apart how awful the Jets were defensively. The Jets are a top 5 pass defense in the NFL, and Tua shredded them in that game. So it was just interesting to hear that, Mo.
Look, it's been a crazy year, and I get it. But you know what? Would Jalen Hurts be as good if he didn't have the receivers that he had? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can pick apart anybody. I just don't think you can just put in any bodies in the quarterbacks. It does matter. It's not a crime that when Tyreek Hill had the opportunity to go somewhere else, Miami went out and got him. Anybody else would have done it. Trust me, I'm a Niners fan. You don't think I was like, we need to get Tyreek? Like, you know what I'm saying? I was thinking the same thing. So I don't know why that's a negative. And you're right. We talk about Diggs a lot, but if you take Diggs away, Josh Allen's life, even with all Diggs complaining, will be a lot harder. Diggs
He'd have nothing up there in Buffalo. Nothing.
Right. It does matter. CeeDee Lamb, take him off that roster. That team's record would not look remotely like it does right now. That's how big a difference maker he's made in that offense. So I don't understand why people just can't accept the fact these are gifted quarterbacks who happen to have some talented receivers. It's funny because back in the day, nobody would ever say the receiver made the quarterback. And yet somehow it's reversed in this era. The receiver is making the quarterback. And I don't understand that at all.
You mentioned the Philadelphia Eagles. A.J. Brown came out yesterday and said that the NFL needs to get rid of Monday Night Football. No more Monday Night Football. Players need the extra time to rest and let their bodies recuperate. Mo, he had validity to some of the things that he said, but Monday Night Football is an institution, my guy. It's not going anywhere.
It is
like the amount of money they make. I mean, why do you think we have Thursday Night Football? Because they want to make more money. Why do you think we have Saturday games at the end of the season? Because they want to make more money. The NFL is not in the business of getting rid of days of football.
They're, like you said, they're in the business of making money. And Monday Night Football is a staple, man. Like you got a better chance of getting rid of Thursday Night Football because they live to have duds on there most times, but not Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football is Teflon. It's untouchable. It's not going anywhere.
We just had Friday Night Football a few weeks ago. Like, they're not taking away days, Mo.
They're not. And look, we're just a lot of fans are still adjusting to the idea we're in a 17-game season. I'm not trying to be crazy, but there will come a time when they're going to add another game. Mm-hmm. They're going to add another game. Because it's always about money, and they're about making money. All jokes aside, Thursday Night Football is not going anywhere either. They're going to keep making money. So I would tell Micah Parsons, adjust, accept it.
All right, Mo, let's get into our Week 16 picks to close out the show. The 8-6 Buffalo Bills have the 5-9 Chargers this week. As much as I would love to see Buffalo lose, I don't think it's going to happen here.
I'm not going to lose.
I'm going Buffalo in a rout. I think it's going to be a big win. Buffalo all the way for me.
I'm with you as well. I think, look, to their credit, the Bills have played a lot better, and the Bills are the AFC version of the Rams, so they're on a mission, and the Chargers are trying to find a way to get a higher draft pick.
The 8-6 Bengals play the 7-7 Steelers. The Steelers don't even want to block for each other. Mason Rudolph, I believe, is their starting quarterback this week, third starting quarterback of the season for the Steelers because Mitch Trubisky just couldn't get the job done. I'm going Bengals, and I don't know if it's going to be a close game.
I'm going Bengals because I'm bought in on Mini Joe. Mini Joe's played great. He has, and the defense has picked it up. And let me just put this out there: Trubisky, Mason, what's his name again?
Rudolph.
Same guy. The only changes the Steelers actually made is they changed the name of the guy, but the way they play and the production, it'll be the same. They're going to lose. They're going to lose the football game.
I will say this though, Mo. If the Steelers win, the Mason Rudolph headlines are going to be fantastic. Fantastically Christmas spirited.
Bit better than the DeVito train because because DeVito's kind of coming down now. It's kind of coming down a little bit.
He is coming down.
But yeah, look, if Mason Rudolph goes out and does something phenomenal, like throw for 295 and 3 touchdowns and no picks, and they win, it's going to be legendary. Yeah, they're going to be like, we've got our guy. He's always been there. Tomlin didn't know what he was doing. Yeah.
The 9-5 Browns, 8-6 Texans, playoff implications all over this game. I don't think CJ Stroud is playing. I could be wrong, but I feel like I read earlier that he was not going to be playing. We like stories here, Mo. So I'm going to continue riding Flacco because I like the story.
This has been a year of the quarterback stories. And, just like Josh Dobbs has come to an end, the Baker train is going strong and the Joe Flacco train is going strong. So I'm going to go with the Browns as well. I think the Browns win the football game. Maybe a close game, but the Browns win.
The 8-6 Colts and the 6-8 Falcons. The Colts are also fighting to continue to stay in the playoff picture in the wild card race. I believe they get Jonathan Taylor back this week, which will be a huge boost to their offense. The Atlanta Falcons are an absolute disaster. I don't know who their starting quarterback is. Heineke, Ritter, it doesn't really matter. Neither can really move the ball. I'm going Colts with this one.
Yeah, I'm going Colts as well. At this point, with their QB situation, the Falcons would be better off putting Bijan Robinson at quarterback and playing the wishbone. That's really how bad it is right now in Atlanta. And the crazy thing is this, because of the kind of season we've had, you and I with picks, watch Ritter throw for 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. I know it's coming. I'm not picking Atlanta, but it's coming.
The 4-10 Commanders, the 5-9 Jets. This is a game that nobody cares about. This is a draft pick game. Who is going to improve their draft ranking heading into the draft? The Jets have the better defense. I don't know what you're going to get out of the Jets quarterback play, though. On the Commanders side, their quarterback is top 10 in the league in passing yards, I believe. They throw the ball all over the place. Terry McLaurin had a huge game last week. I think I'm going to go Commanders here just because I think they're going to score 17 to 20 points. And I never take the Jets to score points, Mo. I don't know if the Jets can score 17.
I'm going to go with the Jets only because I actually think the score of the game is going to be more like a baseball score. So I'm taking the Jets to win 5-3.
Oh, knock it off. You think Aaron Rodgers is going to play, don't you?
Well, not play, but he's going to suit up. He's suiting up.
Mo, if he suits up, all right, there is no way he is sitting on the sidelines full gear. The Jets get the ball back, a minute and a half to play, down 10-6. He's going in the game.
You think so? You think he'll go in? Because I would not be surprised if he is full suited up in his gear, ready to go. Because I think Aaron likes. I think he likes the spectacle of teasing people. He likes the tease. And if people see him, or even more so, Chris, what if he leads them out of the tunnel? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he's the first guy out,
right,
and he's got on his gear, and they're like, "Oh my God!" I could see him doing that and not playing a down.
Listen, just don't be surprised. Minute and a half, 10-6. Zach Wilson can't find his helmet. Doesn't know where his helmet is. And Aaron's like, "All right, I'll go in."
Right. The funny thing is, there will be no shortage of candidates for who hid that helmet.
If it's 10-6, you are correct. There will be no shortage.
Right.
The 10-4 Lions play a very intriguing game against the 7-7 Vikings. Obviously, the Vikings need this game to stay alive in the NFC wildcard picture. But Mo, if the Vikings win this game, it is going to open up a week-long conversation of, are the Lions collapsing? Because if the Vikings win this game and then the Lions lose their next game and the Vikings win the following week, it is going to set up a game for the division 3 weeks from now. So the Lions can end all that if they
can shut it down.
Beat the Vikings this week.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to beat them. I think they're going to leave the door open for at least another week.
I want to pick Detroit, but I do have my concerns. I'm going to say the pressure gets to them, and Minnesota finds a way to win a close football game.
Now, I'm not saying Minnesota wins the division.
I didn't say that either.
Detroit very easily could just win the following week and close that door. But I think in this moment, Mo, like you just said, the pressure to close it out and to lock it up gets to them. And we wonder for another week, what is this Detroit Lions team?
Right. That's exactly what I think happens.
The 6-8 Packers play the 2-12 Panthers. Technically, the Packers are still alive for the wild card. I think they're going to win this game. I don't think the Panthers are going to find their third win of the season. So good for you, Packer fans.
I guess it's good, but really, if you're not going to make the playoffs, I'm not sure how good it actually is. If you want to do we went into next season with a lot of momentum, I guess you could go there. Yeah. You could go there. You could go that route.
They're going to go that route. The 7-7 Seahawks clinging to their playoff lives against the Tennessee Titans, who are 5-9. I think the Seahawks, coming off that big win against the Eagles, I think they pull this out as well.
I got Seattle as well. I think they're just a better football team. Tennessee they're a hard-nosed team. They kind of resemble their coach, but I just think that Seattle has more firepower.
The 10-4 Cowboys, the 10-4 Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are actually the favorite in this game. They are a 1-point home favorite. Something's got to give. We talked about this yesterday. Miami struggles against teams with winning records. Dallas struggles on the road. One of those narratives has to be broken. I'm going Miami for obvious reasons, Mo, but where are you going?
I'm going Miami because I think that being at home will matter to them. And like I said, Dallas is going to come out and try to be disciplined. They're going to try to play zone. They're going to think that their front four can get to Tua without bringing an extra. I think that Tua is going to be patient. He'll start the game off. He will dink and dunk early. But you have to do that to open things up. And I think they will open up. I think Dallas will get frustrated. They will go to man. And I think that's when Miami is going to start exploiting that secondary.
And let's not forget the Buffalo Bills ran the ball down the throats of the Dallas Cowboys. And the fountain of youth himself, Raheem Mostert, with his 20 touchdowns, is in the backfield for the Miami Dolphins.
Why does he look like he's 22 rather than I think he's 30?
31.
31. He looks 22. Whatever he's doing, he's doing it right. And look, trust me, I've seen it firsthand. He had a monster playoff game for the Niners a couple of years ago. Like he's a unique, special back. Maybe not the kind of guy that can carry the ball 30 times a game, but he is the kind of guy that he can carry the ball 15, 16 times, and one of those, he takes it to the house.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are not going to have Trevor Lawrence this weekend, it looks like, which is unfortunate because the Baker train is pulling into town. And I don't think they were going to win the game regardless because you can't stop Baker. I'm going Baker train here. Buccaneers moving to 8-7, and they will be in sole possession of first place in their division, Mo.
I'm going Baker train. I'm with you. I was going to pick them anyway just because I'm riding the wheels off that train. I think Baker's going to play well. They'll do just enough. Jacksonville can be stingy, but I think the Bucs win and get control of the division.
Cardinals and Bears. I think the Bears are mathematically still alive in the playoffs. They need a lot of things to happen this week. They need to win. They need a few other teams to lose. I don't think it matters. I'm going Cardinals here. The Cardinals, I believe they're 2-3 since Kyler came back, but these are mostly close games. They lost by a couple of scores to the Niners as expected, but they did put up almost 30 points in that game. I don't think they're going to have that much of an issue with the Bears defense. I'm going Cardinals.
I'm going to go Bears. I think they are playing with a lot of momentum and confidence right now. I think the Bears win a high-scoring game.
Patriots and the Broncos. Broncos need to keep their playoff hopes alive. I do think they get the win here. I think it's going to be a mess of a game. 17-16, 14-13 kind of thing. Normal Russell Wilson line. He may or may not get yelled at on the sideline for something he didn't do.
He'll throw for less than 200 yards. Throw for less than 200 yards. And look, it's like, I guess as long as they win and he has a clean game with no turnovers, he won't get yelled at.
That's right.
At least not in public.
6-8 Raiders, 9-5 Chiefs. I don't foresee the Chiefs having an issue here. I don't know what it's going to look like offensively. With hopefully they can get a little more in rhythm as we get closer to the end of the season. But I just don't think the Raiders are going to be up for this game. So I'm going Kansas City.
I think the Chiefs win. They'll find a way to win. My concerns have been a season-long concern. I do think that Travis Kelce is maybe a combination of injured and aging, and he is still the best pass catching tight end in football, but he doesn't seem to be as dominant or as explosive as he has been in past seasons. I'm looking at his yards per catch, and it's just at 11 per catch. So I feel like it's one of those things that they've relied on him forever, Chris. And he's gotten older, and I just don't think he can take over games like he did before.
And then we have the Ravens and Niners Monday night. We'll pick that game on Monday. We also have the Giants and Eagles on Monday night. So I'll pick that game on Monday as well with you, sir. So that wraps up our picks for this week. I don't know, Mo. I'm pretty excited. We got games on Saturday. We got games on Sunday. We got games on Monday.
I'm excited, too. So are we doing a Christmas show? Are we letting the people know we're doing a Christmas show?
We are not doing a Christmas show.
So no Christmas show.
But we'll be here on Tuesday to talk about all the football that happened.
A lot to talk about.
So much to talk about. So much to talk about. Mo, before we close it out, I really want to give a shout out. I know this is usually your territory, but we had some new faces in the chat today, which I think is super cool. I just love hearing people's opinions. I know we don't always get a chance to comment on your opinions on the air.
Sure.
It's something that we try to work in as much as we can. But I love seeing the opinions in the chat, and I love seeing our audience grow. With that being said, Mo, I stepped into your territory there, so I'll let you close out the show.
You're the QB. We're good. We are good. Hey, see, our relationship is good. We're good.
That's right.
Thanks to everybody out there in the chat. We appreciate the support and you guys interacting with us so very much. Thanks to everybody that's watching us right now live. Thanks to everybody who will watch us later. Check out all the great content we have to offer at Sports Empire Network. Check out the Empire.
We'll be back here Tuesday morning breaking down everything that happened Saturday, Sunday, Monday in the season. So actually, well, now that I'm just thinking of this, Mo, I don't know why I didn't think of this 30 seconds ago. I guess we should probably make our Monday picks.
And just like that,
we're back.
We're back.
So let me say this. I'm going Giants.
What?
Okay, and follow me here, okay? Should the Giants win this game? No. The Eagles should win this game by 20 points at least, okay? They've lost 3 in a row. They're angry. They're a better football team.
No doubt.
But this is the Super Bowl for the Giants. This is a game where Brian Daboll is looking at it and saying, if my guys go into Philly, the reeling Eagles, and knock them off, and then they come back into our house, like this is it. This is all this team really has left to play for this season. What they have left to play for is ruining Philly's chances for winning this division. That's what they're playing for. And they legitimately will have a chance to do that. They get them twice in the next 3 weeks. If they somehow won both of those games, I don't think Philly's winning the division. So should Philly lose this game? No. Is Philly probably going to lose this game? No. It's probably going to be a 24-point win. They should come out and just blow the doors off of them at home. But we have seen them lose 3 games in a row. 2 of those games were to really talented. 2 of those games were to really talented teams. Seattle, I'm not saying they're not talented, but they shouldn't have lost to Seattle. But because of that, and now you got A.J. Brown talking his craziness and all that, I'm just saying, I'm taking the Giants just for the theater.
You're taking a swing.
If I had to put money on it, I wouldn't be taking the Giants.
Exactly.
But for the theater of it, Mo, I'm going Giants.
So I'm picking the Eagles, and I'm picking them because I'm going to pretend like I have money on it.
Okay. Fair enough.
I pretend like I got money on it. And for all the reasons that you said, I expect Philly to win. Now, I don't know if they're going to blow them out. They should, but I expect Philly to win. And I think that Philly is well aware, to me, of what the Giants' motivations could or would be. So I think that they will respond handily and they'll beat the Giants.
And then, of course, we have the game of the week, the number one team in the AFC versus the number one team in the NFC. And Mo, Ravens fans are really angry this week. They're upset that no one's talking about the Ravens. Everyone's talking about Buffalo being a dangerous team, or whether or not Miami can finally beat a good team at home, or the backup quarterback situations with all the other teams in the AFC. And Ravens fan is sitting here saying, why is no one talking about us? Where is our respect? Well, Mo, I have some bad news for Baltimore Ravens fans, because we're going to be talking about you on Tuesday, and we're going to be talking about how you got roughed up by the San Francisco 49ers and you weren't quite on their level, and maybe that Super Bowl matchup that you booked might not be happening. So brace yourself, Ravens fans. You're about to be talked about, but I don't think it's the way that you wanted to be talked about.
I think the Niners win because I think they're the better football team, period. I think they're the better football team. I don't know if they blow the Ravens out, but I think they win comfortably.
I mean, the Ravens are talking a lot. They're talking a lot of smack, Mo. That Ravens defense is just running off at the mouth right now, going into this game for no reason.
Right. It's a really good defense. Here's what I'll say. In my head, I believe that they will control McCaffrey running the football, but I do think that he will be impactful in the passing game. So C-Mac can still be big in other areas, and I think he will.
All I'm saying is there's no need to give a team like the 49ers, probably the most complete team on both sides of the ball in the NFL, bulletin board material for no reason. Because it was already a big game for them. It was already a prove-it game against a good team in the AFC, and now you want to go get them fired up for why? Just so come on.
Yeah, I don't know the logic of that. And look, I think the Ravens will be competitive. I like I said, I'm probably one of the few people that don't think it's going to be a blowout.
All right, Mo. With that being said, this really is the end of the show. I promise.
Now
we are actually done now. We're actually going to leave.
Right. Appreciate everybody.
So make sure you're here with us Tuesday morning, breaking down everything that happened in the NFL weekend. Have a wonderful holiday. Whatever holiday it is you celebrate, well wishes to all of you and your families. And we'll see you Tuesday morning.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboys fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, guys, any